Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Hey, welcome back. Oh, wrong screen. Welcome back to Moms for Justice. I am Carolyn. How are you guys doing? It is lunch break for the Donna Adelson trial. I am like, this action-packed today. Jeff Lacasse and June Umchinda. Real quick recap. Yesterday we had Wendy Adelson on the stand, and that just, we did videos on this yesterday. But she was extremely compelling yesterday. Very different Wendy than we are used to. She was not as poised and confident yesterday as she normally is. She was definitely rattled. She looked like she had not gotten much sleep over the last 4 years, maybe. And then we had Robert Adelson yesterday, and that was incredibly compelling testimony from Robert Adelson. I thought about it all night long, and I really do think that he took us one step closer to possibly an arrest for Wendy Adelson, because he said things we didn't even know about. And then, of course, he definitely helped the case against Donna Adelson. So kudos to Robert. That could not have been easy for him to come out of the box like that, out of his safe space in New York. This is a family of complete catastrophe at this point. No one's talking to each other. The entire family has just literally fallen apart before our very eyes. And the thing is Robert is a forgotten victim here. He has been sitting up there in New York watching this happen. Imagine that being your very own family. It's amazing. It really is. Like, it's just incredible what this man is going through. And I feel really terrible for him, and praying for him that he can find peace and be able to move on with his life, knowing that he is a valued person, even though it's clear that you could tell that when he was on the stand yesterday, that you could feel that he knows his family has never truly cared for him or loved him. And just the sadness, the immense sadness that comes with that. So anyway, hey Brian, how you doing? Give me a likes on the video, guys. Subscribe, like, and share, but give me a like on this video. We're going to talk about today. We are on the lunch break of day 3 of the Donna Adelson trial, where poor Dan Markel, FSU law professor, was gunned down in his driveway July 18th, 2014. And it's just one thing after another. And they have Georgia Kappelman has methodically put each one of these, criminals away, which include the family, Charlie Adelson, his girlfriend, Katie Magbanua, and 2 hitmen, Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera, who has turned state witness. And now we are finally on to the next, and that is Donna Adelson. And it's crazy because this trial is not just about Donna, it's about Wendy as well. I feel like Georgia is attacking both of them at the same time with her witness testimony. And it's just, it's amazing. It really is. It's finally happening, and justice for Ruth and Phil Markel is on the way. So let's recap, though. Jeff Lacasse, he is one of my favorite witnesses, if not the favorite witness. I couldn't find a picture of him from the testimony so far that wasn't crazy surprise looks, but here he is in all his glory. the kind of the quirky professor of social work out of FSU. And he dated Miss Wendy Adelson around the time of the murder, 2013, but things got a little more serious in 2014, as we all know. But then we found out, or it's coming about, that really this serious relationship from 2014 is really a big hoax. She strung him along. She kept him around, made him think that it was a serious relationship. What I believe to be the sole purpose of having a fall guy, a guy to take the rap for this murder of Dan Markel. And that is what is coming out in this testimony right now. It's very compelling. And there are new things that came out of Jeff's mouth. So we're going to go through it. I'm going to walk through. I took a lot of notes. So just in case maybe you guys maybe missed something or you had a bathroom break or whatever, I'll be here to recap this for you. So Jeff Lacasse, he is the first witness of the day. He is of the highest integrity. Okay. Very believable. Has never really wavered at all. I'll say it as a blanket statement. He has not wavered at all in his testimony. So that is very good. It makes him very, very credible. By the way, a lot of people think that he got married and he's since been married. And I learned today on one of the other podcasts that he is not married. He is single. And just wanted to clarify that because I have once said in the past that I believed he had been married with kids, but I just heard today that he is not. He looked very nervous, very nervous. Do you guys think he looked nervous today? Because I do think he looked pretty nervous. And, you know, he had his bottle of water, cleared his throat, coughed a bit. You could tell he's, you know, and he speaks faster because he kind of has that kind of personality where he just, you know, his brain works faster than what comes out of his mouth. So he's kind of always been that way. But, you know, God bless him. You know, it's got to be hard for him to get up there for a fourth time. It was basically a carbon copy testimony. His info on Dan is he testified that it was only from Wendy. They made sure that they clarified that. So he talked first about the fact that Wendy broke into tears right away about Miami on the very second date that they had together. And he thought it was very bizarre. I mean, imagine this guy dating this girl and this behavior that she has coming out. And he's like, you know, like, what's this girl about? But I do think he was super attracted to her because she is a beautiful woman. And I think that he really wanted it to work. I will say that I think he overlooked some things about Wendy because he just really wanted it to work out with her. So he said that Donna was very involved in the divorce of Wendy. He had dinner once with Donna at Wendy's house, met her a total of about 6 to 7 occasions, but they were mostly in passing other than that dinner. Okay. Then he said that Donna frequently visited Tallahassee for the purpose of helping with the kids. And then he did talk about meeting Charlie on March 11th of 2014 at his house after having dinner with Katie, Jeff, Charlie, and Wendy. All had dinner at the Yardbird. And then they went back to Charlie's house and they got into the hot tub and all that. We'll get into that a little bit more. He said that Katie was Charlie's girlfriend at the time, and that it appeared to be a new relationship. The talk amongst each other at the table was like a getting to know you type of talk. So it did come across like it was, you know, that this was a new relationship that they were having. They did speak about Dan a lot at this dinner and also about Wendy's book. Can you imagine? What a bore, what a snooze, right? To sit there and talk about this book, which, by the way, really, really sucked, people. Her book is not good. Now, no, I didn't buy it because I will not give that girl any money, but I have found a few excerpts online. And of course, we all know that she has talked about her book in the writing, that writing skill. I forgot the name of it. There was like a writer's class that she participated in. She talked a little about her book, and I am not impressed by any means by this woman's writing. But Nevertheless, they talked a lot about her book. By the way, I just started reading Ruth Markel's book, The Unveiling, and it is so good. I'm on chapter 3 right now, and it's really, really good. Go pick it up, go buy it, support Ruth Markel. You know, I can't think of a better way if you're just anybody like the rest of us to try to help that family out. Just, purchase her book, give her some income. It's the least we can do, right? Okay. So, Katie talked about her ex, baby daddy, Sigfredo, at the table at this dinner, and about his criminal background. Then they go back to Charlie's house after, and they hung out in the hot tub. Now, Dr. Obed was there. He is a dermatologist and a roommate at the time of Charlie Adelson and lived at the house with Charlie at that time. So I think he is on the witness list, everybody, and he might be called. So keep a good lookout for Dr. Obed, because we have never heard from him before either. So it'd be really, really interesting to hear what he had to say, or what he has to say. So Jeff testified that Charlie did not like Danny, and that he was very fired up. Charlie was fired up, and he showed a lot of anger when he was in the hot tub with him. Said he knew people on both sides of the tracks. We all know about that. Mingled with people from the Cuban neighborhoods, people of the criminal element. He also mentioned, this was interesting, because this is when the court got a little crazy, right? So there was a mention of Wendy being interested in having her oldest son get tested because she feels that he is, gifted. So they talked about him having an autobiographical memory. There it is. But, okay. But here's important, okay? So Jeff mentioned something about kids around age 2 and 3 having amnesia, and about Wendy asking if kids age 5 or 6, if they develop their memory at that time, or Jeff told her kids don't develop their memory until they're age 5 or 6. Okay, well, right away, you know what I thought of? Wendy is aware about this murder about to happen, and she's probably wondering and planning in her mind how her children are going to adjust. And I think that this topic came up because she wanted to know just how much her kids would remember about their father. And it also could be more sinister. Maybe the kids were around during conversation. Maybe the kids were around to hear some of the planning of the murder. And she was looking into crossing her T's and dotting her I's and wondering if maybe her kids would ever be able to open their mouths and say something incriminating about their mom or Donna or anybody. I mean, this is just speculation, people. But I mean, did you all think that? Did you all get the idea of that? Because why else would you bring up, amnesia and memory loss and when you gain your memory back? I mean, I was like, that is what that's all about right there. So I thought that was really interesting. Now the court, they took like this break, sent the jury out, and it was not allowed in. But hey, it was said, right? The jury heard that. What do you guys think about the fact when something is said and then it's objected to, and then the judge turns around and says, you must disregard what was just said? Do you feel that juries truly disregard it? I don't. I think it's impossible. I think once it's out of the bag, it's probably even written down on the individual notepads of this jury. And they probably write next to it, must disregard, but it's there. It's there for them to see. And I personally think that it's almost impossible not to consider something like that. Anyway, if you're just joining me now, give me a thumbs up on the video. Okay. Wait, hold on. Let me see before I continue, just want to see what you guys want to check in with you guys. I think Donna's attorney are doing pretty good under the circumstances. I'm not saying they are going to win the case, but they are doing the best they can. Yes, I don't like the attorneys. If I had to pick one that I thought was making some headway, it would be Jackie Fulford. She's had a couple winning moments yesterday. For the most part, though, they're not really doing much. I mean, on the cross-examinations, they're maybe addressing one or two things. Even, Rashbaum went after on cross way more than this team is. I think their case is just really, I think they're grasping at straws. I really think the prosecution is slam dunking this right now. So that's my opinion to them. But yes, they're doing what they can with what they have, right? Sure, no problem. Thank you so much. I really enjoy coming on here and talking about this case, so thank you. He looked tired. All involved are sick of this case. I agree. Jeff does look like he's tired. I got to be here again. I got to go through this whole story again. But let me tell you, he's a trooper, and he is coming through with consistent statements. Everything's aligning. Poor Jeff Lacasse. I bet he'd like to see Wendy indicted after using him like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Let's see. Hey, Chip's dad. Doggy's dad. I'm here, but I have a doctor appointment. Okay. What? All right. So, all right. Keep your comments coming, your questions coming. I'm going to keep going. So Charlie did not like Danny. He confirmed that. I went through that already. Hold on. Okay. So he had a date with Wendy for her birthday, or the day before her birthday, April 20th, supposed to have a date. He called and she wouldn't answer. Now, this is all new, people. They were supposed to have this date a day before her birthday. He called her, I guess, to, figure out what time and all that. She wouldn't answer. So then he drives over to see what's going on, right? And she answers the door. He described it as intoxicated, weary-eyed, and he felt that she was under the influence of substances. I took that to be as like pills. She wanted him to stay, but when he was on the stand, he was like acting like he was disgusted by it. So he was like, I'm not staying. So he left. He was annoyed. So that's a new piece of information I had never heard before. Then on June 4th, regarding a trip, and I'm going through the timeline now, the important timeline. Regarding a trip on July 11th through the 17th. Okay, they were supposed to take this trip. She cancels it because she was concerned she wouldn't be back in time on the 17th because she had to pick up her kids on the 18th, okay, at 5 p.m. Okay, so getting back on the 17th does allow you plenty of time. But side note, when you know that someone's going to be murdered, like I believe Wendy knew, you really want to make sure you're back on time, right? So even one day earlier is not soon enough. And that's what that tells me here. Because any other normal person would be like, one day in advance is totally fine, right? But when you have a murder about to happen and your stomach is sick all the time over it, and you're acting like a weirdo all the time about it, and you're freaking out because this is about to happen for you, Wendy. It's about to happen for you, and you're aware of it. Getting back the day before is not soon enough. She wanted to be sure because she had to be there to get those kids. She knew those kids were going to be about ready to go through hell. Their entire life is about to be flipped upside down because of her. So getting back on the 17th was not soon enough. That's my takeaway on that. Then that evening, Jeff says she has more stomach issues, and he rushes over to her. He says she's an anxious wreck. Then he goes and drives, I think it was like 35 minutes, right? To go get her Pepto-Bismol. Comes back. When asked in previous trials and this one, what was going on? He said she didn't have the flu or anything. She's just acting weird, and she wouldn't talk about it. He'd be like, what's wrong? she wouldn't answer what was wrong, right? So and this is just one incident of that. He talked in the past about her always having issues with her stomach. And I'm like, okay. Never giving any kind of explanation for it. And he didn't say that today, but we also know that he would see her from across the room washing dishes, right? Sniffling and crying for no reason. No reason. And this is all within like just a couple of weeks leading up to this murder. So feeling sick, crying, acting strange. I mean, this all ties in with somebody who is well aware a murder is about to happen. Okay, let's move on. Next part of the timeline. The TV is broken. Somewhere between July 11th and the 18th, he's asked to look at this TV. They get a movie to watch with the kids, right? And she says, go take a look at the TV for me. I'm having a problem with the TV. He sees that the screen is shattered. He described it as struck by an object. Looks like it had been hit with something. A round impact with spider webs. Now, he didn't talk much about this today, but I will remind you all that two things. He offered immediately to go down to Best Buy and buy her a new TV, which is simple, right, people? Simple. How much is a TV today? It's not expensive. I could buy a TV every 2 weeks. They're cheap. $150, $200, not a big deal. He offered to go down and buy it for her. Nope. Then he said, okay, well, let's take the movie and go into the other room where you have another TV and we'll watch it there. No. We must watch it on this TV. Okay, so if anybody's wondering why, it's because she just really wanted to nail it on home that this TV is broken. And by watching it and suffering through watching a broken TV is going to make Jeff never forget that TV was broken at that time. Okay? It's also absurd to me that she left it broken like this long. Okay? Which ties into the fact she needed it broken for her alibi. Okay? End of story, period. So then, Georgia shows him a text from June 28th, and it's the first time Jeff is seeing it, so it really is the first time that we're hearing about it. But it was mentioned yesterday with Rob. It was the text message between Rob and Wendy. Okay? So Wendy to the brother Rob about Jeff. Okay? She said, is there anything incorrect about this text message between Rob and Wendy? Remember, the text messages that Rob talked about yesterday was that Wendy sent a picture of her boyfriend, Jeff, with the 2 kids. I'm dating this guy, whatever, which is something Rob said she never, ever shared information about boyfriends. And why this one? You know what I mean? And Rob, it stuck out in Rob's mind, right? So, but after that, she says, our parents do not know about him. Please don't let them know. Okay. Well, Jeff's like, what? He's looking at this text message today. I did meet her parents. It's impossible that her parents did not know who I was and that he was not a secret. Okay? So this info is like lies, just lies left and right. And he also talked about how the kids loved him too. So I'm just like, so my takeaway on the Rob and Wendy text, that's a rough one. Why do you guys think that she made sure that Rob knew about Jeff existing? And why, specifically this, why she asked Rob not to let the parents know? Because I always believe that, Donna knows about Jeff. So why say that the parents should know? Now, I think the reason why she sent the picture of Jeff to him is because she wanted everybody to know she was dating this guy, and she was like planting the seed for Jeff to be this fall guy. and she needed everybody to know about. But you know what is really bizarre? That when you are estranged from your brother, because essentially they were, right? They were all estranged from Rob. It looks like a little over the top that she would send the picture to Rob and make sure he knows. Because look what happened. He said, that's weird. Something's wrong with that. And he ends up telling the FBI. So very, very interesting stuff. And it ties in today with Jeff testifying that that is not true, that the parents knew who I was. I was definitely not a secret. So June 29th, 2014, disagreements. That's when he confronted her. They were on a trip at a hotel. They had dinner. He had testified in the past that they had maybe 1-2 glasses of wine max. They go back to the room. They're scheduled to go home the next day from this trip. And it was like half business, half casual. You know, he worked during the day. She did some work from the hotel, met together at night for dinner. After dinner, they go back to the room and he confronts her because Jeff was having major doubts about her being monogamous. He thought that she was cheating and seeing other men. And he had good reason to believe that, because he actually admits, she actually admits to him that, yes, at one point I was in the middle of a crying fit, and then switches it in the car on the way home and said, well, I wasn't seeing anybody. So she has been lying all along with this whole thing. But he said, I suspect that you're stringing me along. Right. And then they came home from that trip. It was a very awkward trip. A lot of, crying in the car from Wendy. And he kind of thought that the relationship was on its way out at that point. Okay. So then he sees her on July 13th. They go to dinner, a movie, and then back to her house at Aqua Ridge Way. The kids were not there. Okay. And the subject of relocation comes up because it had, recently been denied with prejudice, which means you cannot go and ask for it ever again. That's it. Done deal. You're stuck here in Tallahassee, Wendy. So he says, he's thinking to himself, she's bringing this up. She's so mad about the relocation. So he starts getting a little concerned about the relationship and saying, listen, are you going to stay here in Tallahassee or not? It sounds to me like you just want to keep pushing to go down to Miami. She said, according to Jeff, that the only way she would relocate is if something happened to Danny. So he at this point, he's starting to get tired of the drama, and you can hear that in the testimony today. So he gets annoyed with her at that point when he's talking to her and saying, look, you're linked to Danny for life. You just need to move on. And I'm sure Wendy did not like that. I'm sure Wendy was really mad at Jeff at that moment because, we all know Wendy loves to whine and complain about Dan. So at that point, she gets real serious on him, super serious, and says, last summer, well, first she said, can I tell you something in confidence? And, he was alert. And he said it was a very serious situation. And she goes, last summer, my brother Charlie looked into all options to take care of the Danny Markell problem, including hiring a hitman, and it would cost $15,000. And then Georgia had Jeff recount the joke made by Charlie about the TV being cheaper than hiring a hitman. And then he went into his whole, in which I love, it was chilling, my stomach flipped. I love that part. He says it every time exactly the same way. It's I wonder if when Jeff is asleep at night, if he's it was chilling, my stomach flipped. He must say it every night like that in his sleep. Okay, so moving on to July 14th, the Monday before the murder. They talk earlier in the day, and she's all oh, I miss you. We need to do something tonight. I can't wait. And he's thinking we're on again. The relationship's good. It looks like she does want to keep going with this whole thing. So they plan a yoga date. And she was being real strange all of a sudden when they meet at yoga. The vibe was really bad. It was awkward. They hardly talked. So then at this point, he's saying, oh, okay, now we're not good. So sounds to me like this whole thing is over. And he thought that they really, that she didn't want to get back together with him at that point. So they're in the parking lot. I didn't know it was the parking lot. I'm sure many of you did, but that was one thing that I must have I always assumed that this was in front of our house. So I'm glad this got clarified, but they were in the parking lot of the yoga place. And he's like, well, this is over, right? Turns around, walks to the car. And then all of a sudden, rapid fire, she starts asking a bunch of questions about his planned trip he had for that Friday, the day of the murder, on July 18th. This was a pre-planned trip that both he and Wendy knew about, that he was going to go to Tennessee. It was planned on the 18th. So when he's going to his car, she starts asking all these questions about his planned trip, what route he plans to take. Is he still going? Why wouldn't you go on the trip if you don't? That was new. It's important to note that going on that trip, he would have left at 11 o'clock, and Wendy knew about that. And also, he went through what the route would be to leave the area to head towards Tennessee. And he talked about Thomasville Road, which is right near Trescott. So he would have essentially at 11 o'clock driven by the crime scene, at least near it. Okay. So, guys, murder happens at 10:55, 11 o'clock. That is just so bad. It's so bad for Donna, and at the same time, it's a slam on Wendy as well. Then he gets an email right after this yoga date saying, hey, listen, not officially breaking it off. Give me 2 more weeks to decide about this relationship. Keeping him hung on the hook, right? Well, she can't let the night end as broken apart, we're done, and let him drive away without a relationship still going, because she still needed some relationship turmoil going on and continuing all the way through to the end of the week. Does that make sense? Okay, so she strings him along, says she needs more time. Yeah, needed to still say he was her boyfriend, but a boyfriend that she was not sure about and was having trouble with, so that it looked really bad when Friday came along. So it makes total sense to me now. Plus, having documentation in this email to show that she was considering breaking it off with him will give fuel to a jealous rage in Jeff, right? Give me thumbs up, people. Give me a like. I'm going to continue some more. Okay, so Georgia Kappelman, this is, to me, the best part of this testimony. So listen carefully, because I had never seen this before. So she publishes a picture of Wendy's house on the inside. In the picture, there is art, children's drawing, paintings all over the wall in the family room kitchen combo area. Okay? He said, yes, she always had those pictures up there. But then on July 14th, the art was down. She was taking the art down. Why are you taking the art down? I had a viewer on here, a Moms for Justice viewer on here once tell me that one of the reasons why she did not want them to watch the broken TV, not watch the broken TV and watch it into another room, was because if you walked in that other room, there were probably boxes, moving boxes and suitcases in there. I mean, what other reason? Why not go in there and watch a TV? Now, my co-host was like, well, maybe she didn't want him in her bedroom. Give me a break. They were sleeping together. He'd been in that bedroom many times. But I don't know. I wonder what was in that room. It would have been really cool if we could have ever found out if she had moving boxes and things packed, because she was about ready to leave But yeah, taking that artwork down, and Jeff said it was always up on the walls, always featured the artwork of her kids on the walls, and now the wall was bare. So that's a big deal. All right. So celebration dinner. He talked about the celebration dinner 10 days after the murder. Okay. Telling Jeff that Charlie took her out for dinner. She said Charlie said something to her and then she vomited on the table. But it was implied that the celebration dinner after the murder was to celebrate the murder. Okay. Then we go on to the fact that he was in Tennessee and his alibi checked out during the murder. And he had actually left on Thursday the 17th, which saved his butt, his hiney. It really did, because if he had left on Friday, we might have a whole different set of circumstances here, right? That's what I think. So, okay. So, oh man. Okay. So then he testified that, okay. And then this is my second big whammy for the day. And it's huge. Did you guys see this? Her putting up the pictures of the car. So on the first attempt of murder, they rented, the two hitmen, Sigfredo and Luis, rented a gray Altima on the first trip, which is the most similar to a 2004 Nissan Sentra. And she put the pictures up for the jury to see side by side. And I gasped. Did you all gasp? Because I did. I was like completely blown away by that. And we all know that the Prius is similar, not as similar as an Altima, but had like that silvery, I know it was like a green or something like that, but maybe they couldn't get the gray that day. Anyway, what an amazing prosecution by Georgia Kappelman of Jeff Lacasse. And I learned new things today. I was really, really riveted by it. I thought, because he is so good about being consistent and, you know, his testimony never changes, it was so nice to hear a few new nuggets that we never knew about. Now, on cross, they really didn't do much, did they? Because he's a hard one to cross-examine. He did not hear Donna's reaction to grandma motion directly. That was asked about. Everything he's ever heard has all been through Wendy, with the exception of his firsthand knowledge of what Charlie said in the hot tub and at the Yardbird. He confirmed that Wendy is deeply deceitful. That was the defense taking a stab again at Wendy Adelson. I'm sure Wendy's at home watching and not happy about that. Then they asked about the TV damage, describing, confirming that he saw spiderweb patterns, pixelated where the cracks are. Did you suggest to watch in another room? Again, they're redirecting to Wendy here. Didn't Wendy make a fuss about it? He said, yes, the kids were whining. And then she had him recount that it was the brother, Charlie, who looked into hiring the hitman, emphasizing that Donna's name had never come up when Wendy was confessing that a hitman was, being looked into. Donna's name was never mentioned. So she scored a point there. Okay, next. How you guys doing? Anybody got any comments or any questions? Let me stop here before we talk about June. Give me a second. Chip's dad, you didn't know that Jeff and Dan worked at FSU? Yes, they both did. Let's see. Christine, your friend needs to do her homework before she comes up with you. She always claims I didn't see that. Well, it's not unheard of to have a podcast with two co-hosts and one is delivering the information and the other one is reacting. Why should this be any different? Now, I see what you guys are saying, and I know you guys are really frustrated because you feel she doesn't know the case as well as me. And in a lot of ways, she doesn't. I dive into things sometimes a little more than she's able to, but you're right about that. But like I said, it's okay to have somebody that has a different opinion. And it's also okay and not unheard of to listen to a podcast. You ever hear that one? Is it Crime Junkies or no, Morbid? There's a podcast called Morbid where there's two girls on there, and one is the one doing all the yapping and the other one's like, "Yeah, I see that," or, "Oh, I didn't know that." So that's not really uncommon. I think you guys are just really passionate about the case, and I totally get that, and I am too. And let me tell you something, she frustrates me too, but she's a really good person, and I really do think, oh, it's so funny. When we finished the podcast last night, her daughter, who's an adult in her 20s, came in and goes, "Mom, Wendy's guilty." So it was kind of interesting. So I just think that if Jocelyn dived into it a little bit more than me, maybe she would see it the way we see it. I just think that she doesn't have the ability to dive because of time restraints. Do you know what I'm saying? But I get it's frustrating. I do. June is a dingbat. She's clueless. Okay, God bless June. Okay, so yeah, June's flighty. And we're going to talk about her in 1 second. But there's a sweetness about her too. And yes, it was so clear to me that when she testified in Charlie Adelson's trial that she was still in love with that man. And she was just not sure. You know, I think being in front of him was really hard for her. And she maybe still had some high hopes that he wasn't going to get convicted. And yeah, but she is a little flighty, but you know, she's doing the best she can for the prosecution, right? July 13th, Wendy took down all picture frames and was packing up to leave. Yep. Just talked about that. Wendy has to get back because she was planning to be the one to find Dan's body. Very good point. Definitely. I think the driving by the crime scene is not a coincidence. I think there's a reason why she did it. Okay. I don't think it was just pure curiosity. I think she was a messenger for everybody else to let them know that this was done and it was done correctly. So, very important to be back by the 17th. She probably shouldn't, I think she was thinking, I shouldn't go on this trip at all. I got to be here. I don't want to take a risk of being on a flight somewhere or my flight getting delayed. No. Wendy confined to Jeff. Charlie had arranged for the hit man to sort out Daniel. No, to get mother to call the TV repair guy on July 18, 2014, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Millionaires can't afford to buy a TV, right? Seriously, she had so much money. So much money. And you know, as obsessed and involved Donna was, that if she had heard her sunshines were watching a broken TV, she would have gotten on Amazon and sent a brand new TV. There's no way she wouldn't. Did anybody ever think of that? Come on, Mark. Arrest Wendy, release Donna. Okay, so Mark, Donna's going to go down. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. The evidence is pretty compelling and overwhelming. But I will say this. I feel like this trial is nailing Wendy a little bit more than Donna, and it's not even about Wendy. Crazy. The jury is probably like, forget Donna. Let's get Wendy on in here. Thought the kids were with them watching the movie. They were. They were watching the movie with the kids. In fact, Wendy insisted that they watch the movie on the broken TV. Even though this is despite Jeff saying, let me go buy a new TV down the street. Could have been back within 40 minutes. And despite saying, hey, let's go in the other room that had a perfectly unbroken TV. Okay. The hitmen originally rented another Nissan on the second trip, but they got a speeding ticket, so they returned the car and got the Prius. Thank you. I didn't know that. See, I don't know everything either. We all make mistakes, people. I do know this case really well, though. Do you know about Jackie Fulford? How she was forced to resign as a judge. That's Donna's lawyer. I heard stuff about that. I didn't do a deep dive on it, but I'm actually going to maybe do I'm going to do a solo with some information, and that I'm going to include that in there. Thank you, though. All right, let's continue. June Umchinda. How much time we got? We doing all right? All right. Here she is. It's the only picture I could find, Lynn would be laughing right now because she always says that I always put up the most unattractive pictures of people. But in this case, Jocelyn, if you're listening, because she's probably at work listening right now, these are the only pictures I could get. So done with that. Okay, June Umchinda dated Charlie around 2015 through 2017, met him after the murder. The relationship was great in the beginning, described as a fairy tale. She said she met his mom, Donna, and met her about 5 or 6 times at family events and on weekends. Donna was described as being very, very close to Charlie. Donna worked at Charlie's practice that he bought. We all know she acted as sort of like a bookkeeper and a manager. And she met Wendy and the kids. She said that she essentially lived with him. She had her own place, but she had a key to Charlie's place and essentially was living there because she was there every single day, all the time. She said that Charlie was never an angry person in the beginning of their dating. As for the murder, she had no idea who Dan was. And when asked about it after seeing it on TV and hearing about it, Charlie said the brother-in-law was murdered and they didn't know who did it. And it was just very matter of fact and no more talking about it. She said the fairy tale phase was before anyone ever suspected the Adelsons. In her interview, she said they weren't even curious who ever killed him and they were never upset. That's pretty damning. She is familiar with the bump, and after that, everything changed with Charlie's behavior. She learned of the bump from a 2020, one of those 48 hours, 2020, whatever, 2020 on the ID or something like that. He told her later, and then he tells her later after the fact, after she had seen it on TV. He avoided the topic altogether. How did he change? She was asked. She said he wasn't sleeping, he was up all night, extra stressed, and very depressed. Then learned he was under investigation from a reporter. She didn't even find out from Charlie. She found out from a reporter who approached her that he, Charlie, and Katie were involved. That they were dating around May and June. And while dating him, which is after the murder, this is June now, she had seen money that was stapled in $1,000 bundles and remembered that Louis Rivera had stapled the money. She even talked about suggesting to Charlie he should use a paperclip and not staples on his money. Did you notice Charlie talking to Katie back and forth? She was asked. She said yes. She asked, why do you talk to her so much? And she also said that they talked at odd hours in her interview with law enforcement. It took her a while to point that out. It's almost like June did not want to admit that she at one time said that she was concerned about the conversations and late night texting between Katie and Charlie. She said that then at that point, he started becoming even more paranoid. He thought his phone was tapped. She did say she met Katie once at Dr. Obed's office, and I just happened to know that already. But she said that she went into a dermatology appointment, and I know that Katie had worked for Dr. Obed. Guess who was living with Charlie at one point? Dr. Obed. Katie never worked for the Adelson Institute. She confirmed that she knew that. When Katie got arrested, things got worse again. Paranoia, depression, anger, poor sleeping patterns. Her relationship with Charlie then goes down the tubes. She says she knew something was wrong with him. He was keeping a change of clothes around, ready to go, as if he was about ready to take off. She also said that he had guns. Regarding Wendy, June said she noticed that they got into an argument about this case, and they were not speaking for some time. Think about that. First of all, this is new. Never heard this one before. Okay? Jocelyn, are you listening? Because June said today that Wendy and Charlie got into an argument. This is after the murder and before Charlie is arrested. Katie, at this point, I believe, was arrested. So now Wendy's on guard and they get on the phone together and she knows that they had a fight. And she said she knew it was about the Dan Markel murder. The fight was so bad that Wendy and Charlie were not speaking for some time. Yeah, it doesn't say Wendy was involved, but it's just another thing, okay? Then about Donna, we knew about this, but it's just so damning on Donna. This is a big one, Mark. Listen to this one. She saw Donna upset on multiple occasions. She described Donna as a mess, mentally and physically drained, not her usual self. And then out on a balcony of, I don't know, I think it was Donna's apartment or condo, standing on this balcony at night. And Donna begins to cry. She said that she knew she was taking painkillers at that time for stress. But on the balcony, she made a quote to June. Donna said that her life was crumbling and everything felt like Dan was haunting her and Dan is back from the grave. That's pretty bad, people. Okay, so I know we're about to go back to the court pretty soon, so I'm just going to quickly wrap up and talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He got on the stand. He was a very close friend. There were some shady dealings with Charlie. We all kind of knew about that. And I think Ryan probably got out of ever having to pay any money back, maybe, that he owed Charlie, because Charlie did seem like he was really, really mad at Ryan Fitzpatrick because I think Ryan owed him a lot of money. And he got like a get out of jail free card with this one because then Charlie got arrested and Ryan's probably thinking, well, I never have to pay him back now. I don't know if he's this great guy. A lot of people say he's not this great guy. So there's that. But anyway, he testified that Donna hated Dan, that Katie was his girlfriend. Money was stapled. Charlie stapled his money. So as a second person now confirming stapled money. He spoke about the bump to him. Charlie told Ryan about the bump. And then he just went into the fact that Charlie's a big talker, chatterbox. So on cross, he got him to say that, what do I have here? Did I not write this down right? Didn't like Dan, but he couldn't give info directly from Donna. Oh, okay. The comment about saying Donna hated Dan, he said you only got that from Charlie, not from Donna direct, and he confirmed that. So that was it, guys. I'll take a few more comments and then I'm going to head out. How are you all doing? Talk to me. Hi, Joan. Donna's 100% guilty. Matriarch led the orchestrated plan to rid Dan Markel. Absolutely. I mean, Wendy complained. Wendy, she's like the soil, and she planted the seed, right? And then Donna made it grow. That's the way I look at it. Do you know what I'm saying? And she utilized all the people and tools in her life. Donna is, and it's been proven now in just the last 2 days of this trial, that she was the center. She was controlling this family. She was in charge of everything and how it went. She made things happen, this woman. She made things happen. And Wendy complained and knew that her mother knows how to make things happen, right? And she knew that if she complained enough, that her mama was going to come to the rescue and fix this problem for her. And there's like these branches off of Donna. And one of those branches is Charlie. another person who would do anything for his mom. Charlie would have never done this if he didn't have the loyalty he has for his mother, because it was testified too that Charlie could care less about Wendy moving to Miami. This was not Charlie's idea. Charlie was just doing what Mama wanted. Charlie probably didn't even hate Dan. He could care less. There was one thing Charlie cared about: himself. We all know that. Charlie cared about himself. But his mom. Mom was everything. So with that said, subscribe, like, share. Give me a thumbs up. I will be on tonight with Jocelyn, and make sure that you guys set your notifications on for tonight. We're going to be on at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Me and Jocelyn, we're going to be talking about the whole day again, and we will see you then. Love you guys. Take care.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.